you waiting? Maybe.
Hi. Mary's in Disneyland or Disney World? Katie.
Hey.
Hi.
She's talking to somebody.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm gonna have to change that.
What?
To put Huey and Stephanie.
Oh. Where?
Okay. Okay, whoever's standing there talking to her, you can read.
Sorry, had to get updated. Katie.
Yeah.
Cowles. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Okay. It is time to begin. I'd like to start out with a word of prayer before we begin. And just in gratitude, thank you for making it a point to come today. And we will keep this brief and to the point and try to explain everything that needs to be explained, okay? The Lord be with you.
And also you.
Gracious God, we give you thanks for this time. We thank you for our church and all that you are doing in it and through it. Lord, I pray that you would continue to use grace in our city and in our lives. Help us to remember that we are your people and it is a privilege to serve and love you. Might you embolden our spirits to walk about in the world with confidence and with joy that only you can give to us. God, be with us and guide our hearts and our minds tonight. And may we continue to trust you in this next important phase in the life of our church. This we ask in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. So one of the things that, do you mind shutting the door, please? One of the things that I was asked was that folks would just like to know where we're kind of at in the life of the church before the summer gets kicked off, and I'll be gone all of June and the first part of July, as well as several times during the summer. I'll be leading camp at Camp Allen, directing camp, I should say, not leading camp, but directing camp at Camp Allen for a week during the summer. So there will be bits and pieces that I will be in and out of. And so I just wanted to connect with everybody before that time happens. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the fall, I hosted a series of chats called the Fireside Chats. And so spring, summer, we're calling them Poolside Chats, just a time to be together as a church family and to be together with you guys in a more personal way. I hope you guys know, and it is my intention to be as transparent as I can be about how things are going in the life of the church right now. I will say, coming out, hopefully out of this pandemic, we will come out a stronger church. And I would like to say, thanks be to God, Grace is trending in that way. And that is not the case with most churches in our diocese. In fact, most of the churches in our diocese have declined during COVID. And Grace has done this funny thing where we've actually grown during a pandemic, which I attribute a lot of that to our work in and around the food pantry ministry, as well as I just think the Spirit of God is resting mightily upon this little parish on Ling Street. It has awoken. Thanks be to God for that. And we are resurrection people. We believe in death and resurrection. And then from what I heard, Grace had to get to a point where it was really, really in a bad place before it, Katie, you're shaking your head. Yes.
There was no fun to come to church at all. None. Zero.
Yeah. So those days, thanks be to God, are over and done. And I hope that everybody is feeling a renewment, and I hope that you are feeling refreshed, and what is offered at Grace on Sunday gives you fuel, gives you stamina, gives you what you need in order to be present throughout the week in whatever ministries God has called you to, whether they be here at Grace or whether they be in another place. What happens here on Sunday is what gives you the strength to be able to carry out your baptismal covenant, live out your baptismal covenant throughout the week. I don't ever want Grace to be a place where you feel obliged to come to, or you feel pressured to come to. I want it to be a place where on Sunday mornings and whatever days you find yourself here, your heart is overjoyed with being here. I think that is the purpose of the church. And I think her members live out their call best when they're in a place where they feel that way, when their heart is overcome with joy, when they step through the doors. You guys, I'm looking at Craig and Katie and Huey and Steph, you guys are definite leaders in the church for sure. Katie is her work as verger and assisting me on Sunday mornings. Huey and Stephanie, your presence throughout the week is definitely felt, and when you're not here, you are missed. And Craig, newest to come on board, really, in his work with our youth. It has been a joy. So one of the things I wanted to share first and foremost is some of you guys may not be aware, but when Bill Wicker was dying, Bill Wicker owned the house across the street from Grace. Craig, you may not have known Bill Wicker, but he was a former organist at Grace, and he made it a point to tell me, Suzanne, when I die, I want the church to have my house. Well, long story short, that did not happen. And sadly, Bill's only dying wish, was that his house be left to Grace, the church that he loved, but it didn't happen. Instead, his family sold the house. What is interesting about the timing of all of this is on the day that we found out that Bill's house was not going to be ours, I got a phone call from a woman who had connections to Grace. Her grandparents and her parents had been members at Grace. And they have a house across the street from Grace that they wanted to give to the church. And so on the day that we were told, no, we couldn't have Bill's house, we could buy it if we wanted it, but it was not going to be a gift, I got a random phone call from another woman saying that we wanted to give Grace a house. So this house is across the street. It's kind of on that busy street of, what is it, Hardy? Maybe not Hardy. Hood, thank you. And currently it is housing a dilapidated haircutting place, right? So this house has renters in it, and there's a small amount that they pay in rent every month. I think it's around $700. Currently, I am in conversation with the diocese, and tomorrow I will have a meeting with the diocesan lawyer to begin the transfer of the deed. So the house went before, I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but Grace Episcopal does not own any land. It's all owned by one of the major corporations of the Episcopal Church called the Episcopal Church Corp. And so they are the ones that own property in the Episcopal Church. And so a couple weeks back, Grace was brought up at their annual meeting, and basically they gave permission for us to purchase the property, or actually not to purchase, but to be given the property. And now it's just a matter of getting the deed transferred into our name. At that point, we will get to decide, once the deed is in our name, what exactly we want to do with the property. I see it going two ways. Perhaps you do too. We can either keep the property or we can sell the property. Approximately, the appraisal value is sitting at about $86,000 right now. We don't have a clear idea of what we want to do with the property yet, but I just wanted everybody in the church to know that we have been given a piece of property. It is in process with the diocese, and hopefully in the next month or two, we will actually have the deed and it will be ours. At that point, we will assume all the responsibility of a new piece of property, which means property taxes, but we will also collect the rental income that the tenants, if they so choose to stay, will then make a check out to us rather than the current owners right now. This piece of property, does everybody kind of have an idea of where it's at? So if you're on the back side of the church where the pavilion is, you guys know the outside picnic table area. You look directly across the street, there's a white house that has kind of two entrances, and one of them is on one side is the hair cutting place, and on the other side it's just packed cram full of stuff. That's the house that's been given to us.
Oh.
And again, it's a house that has been in the family of this church member for a really, really long time. It has a clear title. Basically, it's just a huge gift. Granted, it's not in the greatest shape, so we're, this year we're really going to have to consider what exactly we want to do with this piece of property. As you all know, Hood is a very busy street. It's not like Bill Wicker's house that's on, kind of a sleepy street. This particular house is on a very busy street. And so us like walking across the street to that house, I mean, I guess it can be done, but it wouldn't be the same as Bill's house. Do you kind of get what I'm trying to say? It's just a completely different scenario. Nonetheless, God, Bill Wicker's house did not work out, but we got this other house. And so
how big is the other house? Bedroom, bathroom?
It is, I think it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Doesn't have much of a backyard, doesn't have much of a front yard. It's got some pretty nice trees in the front, and it's got a pretty nice sized side yard. So it doesn't have a backyard or a front yard, but it has a side yard. And walking by it today, the entire fence in the back is basically dilapidated. There's a lot of just neglect to the house. And so
we've got a church full of talented people that can fix it up if it comes to that.
True. We'll have to see kind of where we feel God's Spirit is moving us and what exactly we are to do with this house. But at the least, I wanted the church to know soon.
What's the rent on it?
About $700 a month, which I think is around.
Really, that's very low for a 3-bedroom house.
$9,600 a year or something like that. Yeah. So that's just what the family's been charging this haircutter person.
Yeah.
I have not been in the house.
Not in
But,
the whole house.
pardon me?
They're not using the whole house.
No, they're not using the whole house. That's right. That is true. It's like it's a duplex almost, isn't it, Huey? It's like on one side.
I don't know.
You haven't seen it?
Is it catty cornered from Lang and Hood?
Yes.
It's on the opposite corner.
Yes, that's the one. It's the white house, kind of a rambling house. It's kind of
Well, I'm
long.
gonna have to look at it.
Yeah, it's kind of long, but it's the pavilion. If you just, look across the pavilion, it's the house directly behind the pavilion and the side yard connected to it.
So is it across the street or just behind, like next to the playground?
It's across the street.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
I
that's
wish it was
annoying.
the one that was behind the playground. No, we weren't so lucky to get that house.
Still, it's pretty lucky.
So that's a beautiful house in really good shape, but the one that we have is not so much.
Yeah, I
But
can't. Yeah.
I thought directly across the street from the pavilion was a garage apartment. And then the house is north of that.
yeah, I mean, it's a little bit over. I mean, maybe not directly across the street from the pavilion, but it's like, yeah, catty cornered to it. I can point it out to all of you guys if you have any questions about it, but
We can figure it out Sunday morning which one it is.
Yeah, we'll see it at the picnic on Sunday.
you will.
You know who else you're gonna see at the picnic Sunday morning?
A new baby?
Virginia and Sam are planning right now on coming if nothing happens.
Okay, cool.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great.
Because up to me, they'd be in church every Sunday, but that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well,
but
wonderful.
anyway, yeah.
Good. So, one of the things, the other thing that I wanted to just remind everybody is Jim Thompson. He gave me some figures for from our treasurer. Jim Thompson is our treasurer, and I just wanted to go over them briefly with you, just so that all of you guys know where we're at. So this is current as of April 30th. We have receipts to date are at 67,000. Our budget is at 67,000. Basically, we're just $70 under budget. Our year-to-date income is around $80,000. Our budgeted income is $74,000, so we're under budget by about $6,000. Our checking account balance right now is $6,500, and our savings account balance is right at $98,000. So that's kind of where we are financially. I'm not sure if any of you guys or all of you are aware, but we have entered into a vitality cohort for 3 years, and the diocese basically pays part of my salary by being in this cohort at the tune of about $25,000. Last year, the diocese basically gave Grace, I should say not technically gave, but wrote checks to Grace in the tune of about $60,000 between participation in the vitality cohort as well as the PPP loans. And Jim Thompson was on these loans, and every single one that he applied for, we were able to get, and then the money was forgiven by the diocese. And so we were very, very fortunate in that Jim seized the opportunity, and then the diocese was basically granted forgiveness for those that amount of money to pay employees during the pandemic. In addition, one of the other things that as an Episcopal priest, what is required are things called assessments. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that, but in order to be part of the Episcopal Church, we have to pay the national church dues, and we have to pay the Episcopal Diocese of Texas money. And so those are in the form of assessments. And so the first quarter of assessment was not paid because it was forgiven by the diocese. And so we saved a significant amount of money there too. The diocese has been very generous and Jim Thompson and Joanne Hawking have worked tirelessly in order to kind of get as much money as what we are qualified to get to help during this time. So one of the things, as you all know, the winter storm basically destroyed our parish hall. So this week, Blackman Mooring, the company that we hired to remove all of the asbestos from the parish hall, will finally be paid in full at the tune of about $114,000. That is what it costs to remove all of the asbestos from our parish hall.
Money well spent, though.
Yes. So we haven't really made a whole lot of progress in regards to rebuilding because we're having conversations about how we want to rebuild the parish hall. But it is important that we took that step of the removal of everything that was bad. It is now out. So essentially, we're at a clean slate. We are down to the concrete and studs in the parish hall. The company, the Church Insurance Company of Vermont, is our insurance company, and they have given us money. The money they have given to us is to rebuild the parish hall exactly as it was. However, how it was built in the 50s. We are no longer in the 50s, and it's not really compatible with how we are these days. We're larger. We don't like to be so close to one another when we're in the kitchen. So what we want to do is maybe not a complete remodel of our kitchen, but we want to make it more functional, because those of you guys who have been in our kitchen in that space during large events, you're on top of one another, aren't you? It's not a very comfortable space in which to work. So we are in discussion now about using the money that the Church Insurance Company has given to us in the most frugal way, but also in the way that makes sense for the future of Grace. We have talked about blowing out walls in regards to opening up more space in our kitchen to make it a bigger space. And we've also talked about adding restrooms. As you all know, all of that costs money. So tomorrow we will be meeting some key leaders in regards to the parish hall rebuild. We will be meeting together to kind of talk about some things. We got our last bid from our general contractor, Adam Arundel, and we're going to see what he said. Huey met with him a couple days ago on a walkthrough, and Huey's going to give us the details on how things are looking on that end.
Will Claudia come back where we'll have a nursery on Sunday mornings again?
Oh yeah, we will have a nursery, but nursery currently is out of business because
I know. The building's unsafe.
Yeah, we just don't have a place for everybody to meet. And Claudia, the places that we do have to meet, Claudia is not comfortable with having children around.
Well, she's very good at what she does. So.
She is. And so
nursery's going to be relocated.
Yeah, it's going to have to be relocated. Yeah, if we're going to do what we want to do with the kitchen, the nursery is going to have to be relocated.
Other thing that needs to be relocated is the vestment room, because we've got people that have trouble getting up the stairs to get to their vestments, and that would be nice if there'd be a vesting room somewhere downstairs.
Yeah, I think everybody is well aware of our current situation. Yeah. Everybody has been incredibly understanding. We are down to one bathroom, and the tiniest bathroom in the entire church, and everybody has just been remarkably gracious, and I haven't heard one complaint about anything. I think had it been another year besides COVID, there probably would have been a lot more complaining, but because COVID came before all of this, everybody was just, I mean, at least for me, I was just like, what else is going to happen? You know, this just is right in line with everything else at this time.
I was more, thank God we have a bathroom so we can meet in person again. Because if we didn't have that bathroom, we wouldn't be meeting in person.
Exactly. I think a lot of people have taken on that
Yeah.
kind of thinking, Katie, rather than, oh my gosh, I have to use what?
No,
You know,
I was looking at the sunny side of it, not what's wrong with this picture, but look what's great about this picture.
right. And you are correct. It
Yeah,
is
it's
a blessing.
Yeah.
What?
You said either that or move in a porta can.
I know, right? And we had thought about that
Believe
too.
me, I'd rather use the Harry Potter bathroom under the stairs than the porta potty.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, it's in times like this, you're grateful for what you have, right? At least we
Exactly.
have one working bathroom. And
I mean, there's still churches that are not able to meet in person.
that's true.
We are. So,
That's true.
Right.
And we're not the only church that
Yeah.
had a lot of damage done to it. So in many ways, you know, like you said, Katie, looking on the bright side of things is the way that I just continue to move through this time. I am not a church builder, and I will be honest with you guys. This is not something they taught us how to do in seminary. It's like everything that's happened, you know, I just feel like there was no lesson at all in seminary on how to tackle it. And so I really just had to rely heavily on, you know, church members, lay folks, Ed, Huey, Jim Thompson, those who have a lot more experience than I do in this area, because
well, I, for one, think you've done a phenomenal job with everything you've had to do in the last year and a half.
well, thank you. I've really, really tried, and I appreciate the encouragement. My hope is that maybe we will be back in the parish hall, or at least able to use it by Christmas, by the end of the year. Perhaps it'll be sooner. If that's so, oh, awesome, right? But my tentative, you know, timeline in my head is I'm hopeful that we'll be back in by the end of the year. So nothing has been rebuilt. We don't have any plans right now, but all of us are kind of aware. Yes, we have money, but we have enough money to rebuild it the way that it was, and it wasn't functional the way it was. And so we're just going to have to get creative with the money that we have and make it the best that we can.
Question.
Yes.
Will the parish hall be completed in stages or all at once?
All at once.
Okay.
Yeah, my hope is it'll be done all at once, Steph. That's a great question. And my hope is that it will be, again, a really beautiful, attractive space, so that maybe we can even rent it out and earn some money. That's why we're thinking about expanding bathrooms, bringing things up to ADA. But as Huey knows, all of that is just expensive, and all of it is not easy to do. Can it be done? Yes, but it requires money, and it requires pulling permits, and it requires money. So we will be navigating all of that over the next couple of months and seeing what we're able to do. But it is my hope to make it a much more functional space for 2021 rather than 1952. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions about parish hall stuff? Does that help clarify where we're at and where I hope to go? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. One of the things I wanted everybody to realize, that I don't know if everybody knows, but during the winter storm, our pipe organ was attacked by rats. And so
I did
the
not
rats,
know that.
yeah, the rats went to town on the pipe organ. Evidently, there are these things called bellows, which
Yeah.
are made of leather. And now I understand when people joke and say rats will eat anything. They did. They plowed through the bellows in our pipe organ.
Is that why Paul's only playing the piano now?
Yes. So I wanted pipe organ music on Easter Sunday. So I had the pipe organ man who comes and tunes our pipe organ every year come out the day before Easter. And he called me and he was crying. And I was like, oh my gosh, Sean, what's wrong? And he just was like, Suzanne, this is not the kind of phone call that I want to make. But your pipe organ is destroyed. And he said, You can't turn it on. You can't play it. It's basically non-functioning at this
Can
point.
it be fixed or does it have to be replaced?
So Sean, the pipe organ guy, is not able to come to Grace until the end of June. And at that point, he will basically tell us where we're at and how much it will cost. Unfortunately, the insurance that we have for the pipe organ does not cover animal infestations or animal destruction. So the damage that was done, we're essentially going to be responsible for and have to pay for.
Can the diocese help there?
I don't know, Steph.
I guess you can plead your case.
Yeah, it'll be easier to talk to them about it when we know what we're dealing with and until the organ guy comes. Yeah,
and that's kind of where we're at. We're just kind of in limbo again with this because Sean has been so backed up. He's not able to come until June. And at that point, he will be able to assess the situation and he'll be able to tell us how much it cost. But I did want you guys to know we have not had pipe organ music because of the rats and what they did during the winter storm. Sad face, not good.
Yeah.
So, destruction of our parish hall, destruction of our pipe organ. Thanks be to God, again, Katie, taking the way that you're choosing to look at things, seeing the bright spots. At least we still have a church where we can gather and worship.
And all of our members came through the winter storm and COVID. We didn't lose anybody that I know of because of COVID, or they froze to death, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
pretty close.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's already kind of been another hard year for us. You know, I'm really trying to stay positive about things and see things as like a clean slate. But, you know, most churches don't have to deal with the things that we're having to deal with. And so,
and yet we're growing.
Yeah. And yet we continue to grow, which is awesome.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's our positive attitude.
I hope so, Huey. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's the spirit that a lot of the people who are coming to Grace just naturally kind of have, you know. I think a lot of them have had not the greatest experiences in other places of worship, and they find they're being led here and they're experiencing healing, they're experiencing community, they're experiencing inclusiveness, which, you know, you think should be a given to houses of worship, but I'm learning that it's not always what happens in churches. And so it is.
And again,
hi, Chris.
It's all the volunteers. I mean, if they didn't like coming, you know, to Grace, they wouldn't be volunteering, but we just get more volunteers, like all the time.
I know.
And, you know, like in our daughter Shannon's church in Missouri, they don't have volunteers. They just go to mass and leave and go home.
Yeah.
So we're different.
Yes, we are. We are. And you know, it's interesting. I hope Shannon was able to see that on Sunday. I just think it creates a spirit.
She sat there and she says, "Mom, how did you find this church?" I said, "I drove by."
Was she saying that in a good way? Mom, how did you find this church? I hope
because she just could see a warmth, I think. Good. She was impressed.
Oh, that's
of course with you and everybody else.
Yeah, wonderful. I know.
Because I can see why you and Dad are here.
Good. You know, just hearing that makes my heart so happy because it is interesting to me. If you look around on Sunday mornings, we really are a mixed bag of people. We look very different. You know, we're not a homogenous group like some churches are. We're very eclectic. And, you know, I just think that speaks to how God is moving in people's hearts and bringing all kinds, shapes, sizes, you know, stories to Grace, because I think it really is a refuge for a lot of people. And I just, I'm not a micromanager as far as a priest. If people want to do ministry at Grace and bring it to me, I want to do it with you and I want it to be done.
That's how I brought the Verger ministry to Grace.
Right, exactly.
What are you doing?
On that note,
Yes, sir.
I don't want to pile on, but Mary and Jonetta sent me some pictures of the benches in the choir loft, of the pews in the choir.
Yes.
I talked to Joey Tomlinson.
Yes.
And he said that it's veneer on particle board.
Right.
And we're probably, no, maybe not. But we may be looking at replacing them. They're not, he said it's not that repairable. It's the water damage from the leaks of the roof.
Right.
Over there.
So there you go. Something else that we're going to have to tackle as well, and figure out what we're going to do.
That's later.
They're not in danger of collapsing, are they? If you sit on them.
No,
they're just not aesthetically pleasing to the choir.
Right. And so one of the things that's really important to
me, you put cushions on them.
For a long time, there were lots of Band-Aids put on things at Grace. Oh, we'll just do it this way because we don't have enough money, or we'll do it on the cheap. And, I don't want to do church like that anymore. I don't want my lasting legacy to be a bunch of Band-Aids everywhere. I want to fix things and make it right. And I want Grace to be able to continue in perpetuity. I don't want to just Band-Aid everything. And I know oftentimes, sadly, that's what churches do. And I want to do what's best for Grace with the money that we have and be a good steward of all of that. And thankfully, there are, lots of folks at Grace who are exactly the same way, who feel the same way, and who ministry should be done that way. So I'm grateful for that. Which leads me to my next topic of conversation. One of the things that we have a goal for this year is that we want to call and ask and provide a person to walk with our youth as they continue to grow and become, active members of Grace. That's a big hole in the life of Grace right now. And one of the things that has just happened kind of in an organic way is I've listened to the Spirit of God, and God has sent a person to Grace who I'm super thrilled about and happy, who is excited about working with the youth. And so we are hopeful that this person will be a good fit to the staff of Grace, and this person who happens to be in this Zoom call with us right now.
Craig. It's gotta be Craig.
Hello.
Craig Harlan. Hello.
Greg, I'm going to ask Craig a question, and it's totally off the subject, but do you know, are you by chance related to someone named Billy Harlan?
I don't know, actually.
Okay,
maybe.
I was just curious. Never mind, I'm sorry. I just had to ask.
It's all good.
So Grace has grown when families come to us, like I'll just say the Jones family that have 3 teenagers. We have the Rurubles who have 2. We have just a number of families that, have teenagers.
Colleen and Jeremy.
Yes, absolutely. They've got 2.
Yeah, and Lawrence McGaffey and his girls.
They have 2. So there's a really great core group of youth-aged kids. Of course, Autumn's doing an awesome job as our children's minister and has a heart and a passion for little ones. But there's this vacuum with our youth-aged kids. And so I've trusted in God and his Spirit to bring a person to Grace. And so Craig has spent fairly good amount of time with our youth. This started during our Lenten soup suppers. And for 6 consecutive weeks, I was able to observe and I was able to watch the youth interact with him and him interact with the youth. And what I saw was like magic. It was beautiful to witness. And I wasn't the only one who was watching kind of chemistry happen between Craig and our youth. And so I've tasked Craig with this summer, the first week of the summer in June 5th, for the first youth event to be happening at Grace. And so Craig has taken that endeavor on, and it will be happening on June 5th. Essentially, the way that we've approached things is I don't want to call Craig as our youth minister, as our youth leader, not knowing if it's going to be the best fit for the kiddos, and same on his side. So I just suggested that we go about it this way and see if it's a good fit. And if it is, we will continue down the path to making this relationship work.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm super thrilled, and I'm grateful that Craig has said yes. And Craig brings with him his mama and his dad, and they're not always with us on Sunday mornings, but when they are able, they join us. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but Craig is now our bell ringer on Sunday mornings, and he's done an awesome job ringing that bell. So it's been awesome that you've been here, Craig. Thank you. Okay. So this past week and on through Pentecost, we have been engaged in the Thy Kingdom Come movement. And it just so happens Christopher Lowe is here tonight. Chris, would you just kind of giving us an update on how that's been going and what your experience has been participating in the Thy Kingdom Come movement this week?
Hi, I apologize for being tardy. I somehow thought this meeting was at 6 o'clock. Never mind, okay. It's 6 o'clock somewhere in the world. It's one of the.
Yeah.
I think in an article I wrote in the Outpost maybe a year or two ago, I reflect on the fact that we are not a community church that's a standalone church. We're part of a much wider unit. Entity, and we are part of the Anglican Communion, 77 million of us around the world. And this week we were able to pray with some of them together. And yesterday Mother Suzanne and I were in 3 different Zoom prayer meetings with a church in Wales, a church in North Yorkshire, and a church in Worcester. And then late last night, or the early hours of this morning, I joined a prayer meeting with an Episcopal church in the suburb of Geneva, Switzerland. And it was wonderful to sample what other churches are doing and how they're uplifting their prayers to God. It was a wonderful spiritual experience. And today at noon, we were lucky to have representatives of all 4 of those churches join us at our noonday prayer to pray with us. And I hope that is the beginning of something bigger. We will pray about this. It is never a bad thing when Christians pray together because we realize that we don't do this alone. This is not Rotary. We're not some sort of institution in which we are out to glorify ourselves. We're here to glorify God. And I think I said in one of my Wednesday meditations that the church is the only institution that exists for the benefits of those who are not its members. And we pray that something good will come out of this, and let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Chris has organized all collectively all the Zoom meetings, so he makes it really easy just to hop on. And one of the things that I feel very passionate about is we, like he said, we are part of the Anglican Communion. We are not alone. And this week has shown me again and again by just hopping on. It's so easy to do with Zoom. You can be in another part of the world and pray together with people who speak differently than you. And but we're all bonded by the love of Jesus and his peace. And to join other Christians from around the world at different times, it has been remarkable. And I'm quite passionate about sharing this with Grace, because I think we can get so focused that it's all about our little church. And don't get me wrong, this is where God has called each of us to. It is important. But what this time has showed me is we are a small part of a much bigger reality going on and God's work in the world. And it's just been a lovely experience for me, and I hope others too, to not only pray a novena, to move through the week with this movement of 77 million other Christians as we join our hearts in prayers. That is powerful, y'all.
And one of the things that Mother Suzanne has emphasized is that part of this movement is that we pray for 5 people that they may come to know God, to know Jesus, and to receive his love. And it's hard. It's hard to sort of intrude on their lives and hope that they may change, that knowing God will change their lives, knowing the love of Jesus and the forgiveness of sins will change their lives and move them differently. It's very hard to do that. And thank you for your witness, Mother Suzanne. Every meeting I've been in with her this week, she has emphasized that. We're not here. I mean, I have been in churches in which you have felt very much whether you're one of them or not, and where the big thing for church is not the worship, but to share it, to have a sherry together afterwards, and we're not some sort of elite club. I can tell stories out of school. I have known cathedrals in my life in which the name of the usher on duty is published with all his imperial honors as well as his academic qualifications. And we don't need those, wonderful as they are, we don't need those qualifications to serve God and to pray.
No.
Jesus calls us as we are.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think that's what I've just been so aware of, is just the humility of the people who have joined together in prayer. I mean, it's just the humbleness, it just oozes. And, you know, my heart is so drawn to that. And I don't know these people from Adam, and I'm opening up, praying, you know, in a real way, which has kind of taken me off guard, but I feel led in the moment, and the Spirit is leading me to say things and to pray, and in a way that, I don't know, I just feel kind of free in doing that, which has really taken me off guard, and something that I thanked God for.
I'll give one example. The church in Wales, which I have I have now participated in 3 of their, well, it's evening for them. It's sort of 1 o'clock in the afternoon for us. They have had 3 sort of evening prayers, and each one of them has been organized by a different staff member. I don't actually know how many parishioners they have at that church, but they have a humongous lay and clergy on their staff. And obviously each of the prayer meetings have been organized by a different staff member. And all 3 of them are so diverse and so different. And we are so used to saying, well, we can only do things one way. And there was a rector that let his staff go and say, well, you just do it the way you think it's right. And wow, it's just knocked my socks off. They've been very unexpected spiritual experiences. So I shall continue with great eagerness to see what happens for the rest of the week, what else they pull out.
Mhm.
So
If you guys are interested in hopping on, shoot me a text, shoot me an email, and I can send you all the links because Chris has organized them all neat and tidy and packaged together, and the time that you need to log on if you just want to hop on and say hello and surprise a bunch of Welsh people or English people in their prayer meetings, which is a lot of fun. Like, what are you guys doing here? So but yes, this is one of the fun things about being a rector, is exposing my people to new things that maybe they didn't know about before, as well as exposing myself and pushing myself to do those things as well. So Chris, thank you again for all of your leadership in that, and it has been so meaningful for me.
and I might I put a plug in. I had last night, or late this morning, or early this morning, the morning prayer service from, well, it's the English Book of Alternate Services. It was my first experience of the morning prayer service from that book, and it was very, very enriching for me. And I'll discuss it more with you, because it's sort of when you say, when you're in a service with the liturgy, you know, well, sometimes the words just become humdrum and just washes over you because you know it so well. But when you have liturgy that you don't know wash over you, your brain suddenly picks up and says, wow, okay, haven't thought of it like that before.
Yeah.
And this is part of the wonder of the Anglican Communion. We have, what is it? What are we up to? 48 autonomous provinces in the Communion.
Yeah.
And they all have their own prayer book and wonderful spiritual gifts that they have given our communion.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. So we will continue Thy Kingdom Come until Pentecost. I want to remind everybody that we will have a picnic on Sunday, but we also are going to have our children and youth make their way back into serving on Sunday. So I don't know if you guys realize, but on Sunday, we did communion in a different way. Did you guys notice?
Loved it.
And we did it on the rails, so we're making these steps closer to turning back to where we were pre-COVID times. And so we're taking small steps, and it was incredibly meaningful to go down the communion rail, although I was told at the end I did it the wrong way.
Katie went one way, you went the other.
It's so long, y'all, since I've given communion at the rails that way. I forgot how to do it.
And it really makes no difference which way you start. It was just the habit that we did.
I know, but I will.
But yeah, that's why.
This Sunday, so I appreciated y'all's graciousness as your priest went the wrong way.
Who cares?
You guys got communion. You got Jesus, right?
We did.
I have a question about bringing the acolytes back. Are you going to do like a training with them?
I did it tonight. So
you already did. I was going to say, do you want me to come? But if you've already done it.
I do want you there because I told you would be there. But I did our first re-entry back into the church with our youth. They are a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Eli is about to touch the roof. He's so tall. My gosh.
Yeah, what time did you have it today already?
At 5 o'clock today. Mm-hmm.
Which I know, but okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I did it. I did the run through because I knew I could only be there like 24 minutes before I had to hop on here. So it had to be quick and fast.
So are you going to need me on Sunday mornings?
I will need you on Sunday. Yes. So we're gonna run through that on Sunday. Okay. So just be there at normal time, Katie. Okay. 8:30.
I'm there by 8.
Okay. Yeah, 8. That's fine.
Okay.
You guys know that I will be gone in June. There will be a mixture of lay folks leading morning prayer and priests who will preside over the table in the Eucharist, one of them being Mother Nan and the other being Mother Amy from the diocese. Those two ladies, and then we'll have John Lothrop and Stephanie Towns, who will be here
Oh, good.
on the way. July 4th, we're going to try something crazy. We're going to try transatlantic preaching event in which Father John Burniston from Central London will be preaching here at Grace, and I will be preaching in Central London. And by the magic of what we're able to do now, we're going to make that happen. So on July 4th, and then once July 4th is over, I will be back at Grace and I will take over my responsibilities. Okay, so this is how the summer is going to look. This is where Grace is right now. We are at 6:25. I have 5 minutes left. Anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about tonight? I just want you guys to know what an honor it is to be your priest, how grateful I am to be here now at this specific time at Grace, because I do believe, and I will say this again and again, God's Spirit is resting mightily on this little parish, and what I see happen every day here is remarkable. And I don't think most priests get to witness the goodness that happens and can happen at a church in the way that we see day in and day out in this place. This is a holy place, and we are doing a lot of good for our community, and I believe a lot of good for the members of Grace. Becoming disciples of Jesus, that's what I want for y'all. I want you to know Jesus better so you can love him ever more dearly, and then share that love with all that you know and those that you don't know, right? To love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's what Jesus has told us to do. To love, love, love. Okay. Any questions? No? Nobody's
I
gonna...
don't have any.
Okay, that means I did my job. I cut everything out and explained everything perfectly, right?
Right.
No. I just appreciate.
It was nice to meet you, Craig.
Yes, this
Nice
is
to meet
Craig.
you.
Yeah.
I haven't really been introduced, but I have seen you there.
Yes.
Welcome. I'm glad you're taking on the youth.
We are too. Well, we're going to see if it works. I have good feelings about it, and so we're really hopeful that it will work out.
What is the youth event that's going to happen in June?
Craig.
Or is that to be determined?
The youth event that's going to happen in June is going to be a cookout and games with a movie in the evening.
Oh, that's fun. Perfect.
At the parish hall, at the pavilion or someplace else?
At the pavilion.
Awesome.
We have a projector, so to project it out.
Yay, those kids will love that. Especially if food is involved.
I know. Craig has a smoker.
Oh,
smoking meat.
Yeah.
Very
I have
nice.
a little electric smoker, so we'll smoke some meat. I have an old smoky, so we can grill up some hamburgers and hot dogs.
There you go. That's
It'll be a
wonderful.
lot of fun.
Yay.
So what we saw during the soup events was that the kids just wanted to be together,
They
and
enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
yes,
They don't like this separation at all. They need the camaraderie of each other.
yeah. And as my kids remind me, not all the time, but often enough, they've missed out on a lot.
Mhm.
They have missed out on so much. When I was a kid, I didn't experience anything like this. I don't think anybody,
Mm-mm.
but our kids, they've worn masks for 9 hours a day. They've not seen friends, and so our youth have been in that same position. So we just want them to be together.
But this had happened when I was a kid. Now that's, kind of back in the dark ages. We would have just been without school because there was not the technology that we have today.
I know.
So to have to deal with something like the pandemic we've been in, it would not have been that way in the 60s when I was growing up. So
Very true.
I don't know about that. We went through polio.
It wasn't contagious though.
Yes, it was.
Is it contagious?
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really contagious.
Was it?
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Well, hopefully, y'all, we are coming out of this, and my hope is that normalcy will reside once.
Are we sticking with the mass during church for a while yet?
We are. I will, the announcement that Bishop Doyle made, he made it, I got it just a little while ago. And so I'm going to have some time to read through it and see what he has suggested.
Yeah.
So hopefully by Friday's email, we'll be able to condense it and share with you guys where we're landing with things. Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to pray us out because it is now 6:30. I promised you it would be an hour, and we are right at an hour. Thank you for joining, and thank you for listening and for sharing. This has been a really nice time together. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Good and loving God, we give you thanks for this time to draw together as a church family. We thank you, Lord, for your movement in our lives and in this parish. May we continue to be a church that says yes, and may you continue to use us in your world. We ask all of this in Christ's name. Amen.
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 Okay, go in.
See you on Sunday.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
See you on Sunday.
Tomorrow.
Thank you, Chris, for sending me all that Thy Kingdom Come information. I'm going to try to get on.
Awesome.
But thank you for sending it to me. Bye, everyone. Oh, I like the little thumbs up.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Bye.